A low, eerie hum begins, slowly building under the voice, "Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel." Tonight we're diving into a story that proves sometimes the quietest places hold the most unsettling secrets. This isn't just a tale. It's a chilling account of a seemingly innocent favor that spiraled into a night of pure, unadulterated dread. So, dim the lights, get comfortable, and let's talk about The Man in the Closet. Sound of a distant, creaking door. It all began a few months ago, in that strange, suspended animation of early spring. You know the feeling, right? That awkward limbo after you've escaped the clutches of academia, but before your adult life truly kicks off. For me, I'd graduated a semester early, a decision that felt like a lifeline when I was drowning in assignments, but now left me adrift. Most of my friends were still battling finals, and my new job wasn't even a distant awe on the horizon until June. I was just floating, caught between two phases, unsure where to land. Perhaps that's why I didn't hesitate when my mom asked if I could do a quick favor for Uncle Rick. He just needed someone to check on his beach house in Delaware. Make sure nothing was leaking. Maybe a little light maintenance. Sounded easy enough. A welcome distraction from my own aimlessness. The drive was only 2 hours from Pennsylvania. A pleasant enough journey. Sound of a car driving, then stopping when I pulled up to the house. It looked perfectly normal on the outside. A typical, spacious beach home. Stepping inside, an immediate sense of unease settled over me. It was quiet. Too quiet. And vast. So much space for just one person. Our entire extended family usually descended on this place every summer, filling every corner with boisterous laughter, cheerful chaos. And far too many people crammed into far too few rooms. But that night, it was just me and the silence. It felt heavy, wrong, like the house itself was holding its breath. I went through the checklist my mom had given me. Faucets, lights, breakers, a quick check of the backyard. Everything seemed to be in order. Yet the emptiness of the house felt like a physical weight pressing in on me. As evening drew in, I texted Mom, telling her I'd just stay overnight. No point driving back in the dark, I figured. Little did I know that decision would plunge me into a nightmare. By midnight, I'd eaten a quick meal, tidied up, and decided to indulge myself. I chose the master bedroom, a room I had never had the privilege of occupying during our usual family vacations. It boasted a huge, comfortable bed and its own private bathroom, the epitome of comfort and solitude. I switched off the lights, and despite the lingering unease, I soon drifted off to sleep. A subtle, unsettling creak. Somewhere in the deep hours of the night, a sound dragged me back from the peaceful oblivion of sleep. It was faint, indistinct, but unmistakably a sound, like something shifting. Something inside the closet. My eyes snapped open, though my body refused to cooperate. Half awake, I strained my ears, my gaze fixed on the dark outline of the closet door. My heart began to pound a frantic rhythm against my ribs. I wanted to move, to get up, but a strange paralysis held me captive, freezing me in a cold wave of dread.
Ow.
Then came another sound, a soft, almost imperceptible thump from behind that closet door. I desperately tried to rationalize it away. It's just the house settling, I told myself. Old houses make noises. But before I could even begin to convince myself, I heard it again. The slow, agonizing creak of the closet door opening. I squinted my eyes shut, pretending to still be asleep, praying whatever it was would simply go away. But then I saw him, dark, indistinct figure, stepping out from the closet. Tall, thin, utterly motionless. He just stood there, beside the bed, watching me. Silence, then a soft, shuffling sound, seconds, stretched into an eternity, each one a hammer blow to my terrified mind. I lay there, helpless, under his unseen gaze. Then, without a word, without a sound, he turned out. His footsteps creaked across the floor, slow and deliberate. I listened as his footsteps faded, not towards the main staircase leading downstairs, but upstairs. My stomach dropped. There was no escape up there, just a few bedrooms, and a small attic access. Whoever this was, he was trapped. The thought snapped me out of my paralysis. With trembling hands, I fumbled for my phone. Dialing 911, I whispered, my voice barely a tremor, that someone was in the house. Then I scrambled out of bed, locked the master bedroom door, and waited. Every single sound in that oppressive silence was torture. The distant chirping of crickets outside, the almost imperceptible hum of the refrigerator downstairs, the frantic drumming of my own heart. Each noise amplified, every shadow a potential threat. Then, finally, a beacon of hope flashing red and blue lights painted the windows. The police stormed inside, their authoritative voices cutting through the silence, but when they searched the house, it was empty. My heart sank, but I insisted. They had to check again. He was here. They obliged, meticulously sweeping room by room, closet by closet. That's when they found it. A third-floor bedroom window wide open. An officer ventured outside, shining his powerful flashlight around the back deck, and then his beam caught something. My blood ran cold. A sharp metallic clatter, it was him, the same man. Sitting there, on the cold tiles of the roof, barefoot, bald, wearing filthy, torn clothes. He stared down at us blankly, his eyes devoid of any emotion, any recognition. The officers managed to coax him down, cuffing him without resistance. They speculated he was probably homeless, maybe squatting there for days unnoticed. But when they tried to question him, he didn't answer. He just sat there, with that empty, lifeless stare, as if none of it mattered. I tried to make sense of it later, how he got in, how long he'd been there. The terrifying thought that he'd been watching me, perhaps for hours, before finally making his move. But I couldn't. All I know is this: if I hadn't chosen the master bedroom that night, I would have been sleeping in the one on the third floor, the one with the open window. I might never have woken up. The eerie hum intensifies slightly, then slowly fades. A chilling thought, isn't it? Let us know in the comments below what you would have done in this situation. Have you ever had a similar unsettling experience? Share your stories with us. And if you enjoyed this tale, please hit that like button, subscribe for more content, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss our next dive into the darkness.
Thanks for watching and stay safe out there.
Tonight we're diving deep into a chilling tale from the Jersey Shore. A story that proves sometimes the scariest things are the ones you can't quite explain. Imagine a sprawling vintage beach house, the kind you see on postcards, with the ocean whispering secrets just outside its windows. Sounds idyllic, right? My friend Mike thought so too when he invited me to his family's generational beach house that mid-July. This place wasn't just a house. It was a monument to summers past, surviving hurricanes and decades of barefoot kids. But lately it had been empty. Mike's grandparents, who'd filled it with life, had passed away, leaving behind a silence that at first felt peaceful. Just the two of us. No parents, no crowds. The perfect escape from the city, or so we thought. We arrived on a Friday evening, just as the sun was dipping below the horizon. The air was thick with salt and cedar. Stepping inside, you could feel the history in every creaking floorboard, every fading photograph. It wasn't creepy then, just quiet, calm quiet. But you know that kind of quiet, right? The one that feels serene until night falls, and suddenly it's asterisk to asterisk quiet. And your ears start straining for things that aren't there. We unpacked, grabbed some subs, and spent hours on the deck, watching the moonlight paint silver stripes on the waves. We even met some girls on the beach, the usual carefree summer night stuff. Nothing out of the ordinary. Just normal. If only we'd known how quickly that normalcy would evaporate. Around midnight, we called it a night. The house had that familiar old smell, salt, wood, and something faintly metallic. I figured it was just age. I settled into my guest room on the second floor. Sometime in the middle of the night, I woke up. The silence was absolute, not even the waves. It was so still it felt like the world had paused. I didn't think much of it and drifted back to sleep, but that was just the calm before the storm. The next night, that calm shattered. It was around 12:30 a.m. when a loud, shrill asterisk, beeping asterisk ripped through the quiet. It was the kind of sound that drills into your skull, yanking you awake instantly, heart hammering against your ribs. My first thought was a smoke detector. I fumbled for my phone, flashlight beam cutting through the darkness. Nothing in my room. The sound wasn't from there. It was coming from asterisk above asterisk me. I shot out of bed, adrenaline coursing, and ran to Mike's room, pounding on the door. He bolted upright, shirtless and disoriented. We stood in the dimly lit hallway, both listening. The beeping echoed clearly from the third floor. We hadn't even been up there yet. There was a narrow, creaking staircase leading upwards. Mike, grabbing a flashlight, led the way. With every step, the old wood groaned, and the sound grew louder, more insistent. The third floor was a cavern of shadows, only slivers of moonlight piercing through a distant window. Mike flicked the light switch. The old fluorescent tubes buzzed, flickered, and then cast a harsh, yellowish glow over the landing. That's when we saw it. The sound was emanating from one of the bedrooms. Inside, tucked neatly under a pillow on the bed, sat a filled with the terrifying anticipation of footsteps, a door opening, or something far, far worse. Finally, the flashing blue and red lights painted the windows. We practically sprinted down the stairs to meet them. 2 officers, guns drawn, entered the house, ordering us to wait on the porch. We huddled together in the cold night air as they systematically swept through the house, room by room, checking every dark corner. 10 minutes crawled by, then 15. Finally, they descended the stairs. And what they told us made my stomach churn with a sickening dread. Every window on the 3rd floor was open, one of the officers stated, his voice flat. Every single one, even the bathroom windows. Mike and I exchanged a confused, horrified glance. We hadn't opened anything up there, and there was more. They reported that one of the bedrooms, the very room where we found that black device, had been completely ransacked. Drawers pulled out, bed overturned, clothes strewn across the floor. But we had just been up there barely an hour ago, and it had been perfectly neat. Whoever had been inside had returned, while we were downstairs, while we were awake. The police found no one, no fingerprints, no sign of forced entry anywhere, nothing. They simply advised us to lock every door and window, to remain cautious, and to call them again if we heard or saw anything suspicious. Then, inexplicably, they left. Neither of us felt safe, but where could we go at 3 a.m.? The nearest hotel was miles away, and neither of us wanted to navigate the empty coastal roads in the dark, so we stayed. Both of us squeezed into Mike's room, doors double locked, every light blazing. Mike tried to feign calmness, scrolling aimlessly on his phone, but I could see the raw fear reflected in his eyes. We barely spoke, just sat there, listening to the suffocating quiet. For a while, nothing happened. The tension was a living thing, thick and suffocating in the air. Then around 4 a.m. I heard it. A faint asterisk clicking asterisk sound. Like metal tapping against glass. It came from above us. I looked at Mike. He'd heard it too. The sound repeated slow, deliberate taps like someone was walking on the roof. It froze. Every instinct screaming at us not to move, not to make a sound. The tapping stopped, and then the device started beeping again. This time, we didn't touch it. We just stared, mesmerized by that small blinking red light, pulsing like a malevolent heartbeat in the dim room. We called the police again, our voices hushed, urgent. Within minutes, they were back. More cars this time, their lights flashing in the pre-dawn gloom. One officer went outside, scanning the house with his powerful flashlight. He swept the beam along the roof, and then he stopped. I'll never forget the look on his face. He spun around, shouting to the others. He's up there. Mike and I rushed out onto the deck, just in time to see him. A man crouched on the roof, pale, bald, barefoot, his torn clothes soaked with sweat and grime. He was staring straight down at us, expressionless, not scared, not angry, just empty. The cops shouted at him to stay still, but he remained frozen, almost like a statue. For a moment, he just sat there, breathing heavily. Then, a slow, wide, utterly terrifying smile spread across his face. It wasn't a normal smile. It was too wide, too wrong, too devoid of human warmth. The officers scrambled up, dragging him down. He didn't fight. He didn't speak, just maintained that same chillingly frozen expression. They cuffed him and led him to the patrol car. When they asked how he got in or why he was there, he offered no answers. He simply stared into space, muttering something under his breath, something none of us could make out. The police later theorized he was likely homeless, perhaps squatting in the attic or roof crawl space for days, maybe even weeks. They found a makeshift bed up there, along with food wrappers and a small knife. And that black device. They couldn't identify it. They said it wasn't standard, no alarm, no smoke detector. Maybe some kind of homemade signal device, they offered vaguely. No one could truly explain it. When the police finally left, the sun was already rising, casting a warm orange glow over the now calm ocean. Mike and I just sat on the porch, staring at the house. It looked different now, hollow, violated. Like it had been holding dark secrets all along, and we had unwittingly stumbled upon them. A week later, Mike told me his dad had installed new locks and motion sensors. But the police never found any trace of that man again. No records, no ID, nothing. Sometimes, even now, when I close my eyes, I still see that red light blinking in the dark. And I can't help but wonder, was it really him who turned that device on? Or was it meant to warn us that something or someone was already inside? Thank you for tuning into this chilling tale tonight. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more unsettling narratives, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our next upload. Stay safe out there, and remember, sometimes the quietest places hold the loudest secrets. Today I want to share a story with you that still gives me chills when I think about it even years later. It's a story about trusting your gut and how one decision can change everything. This happened when I was 22, back when my life was pretty simple. Work, gym, dinner, and a book before bed. I wasn't really the party type, and I definitely wasn't one for late nights out. But one weekend, everything I thought I knew about safety, about instincts, well, it all shifted. It all started with an invitation from my closest friend from college, Lindsay. She invited me and two other friends, Thea and Sabrina, to spend a few days at her family's beach house. Her parents were doctors, so naturally, I imagined this incredible, luxurious place. And let me tell you, when we arrived, it was even better than she described. This house was right by the ocean, completely peaceful and private. Huge glass windows overlooked the waves, and the air just smelled incredible, that perfect mix of salt and pine. We were all so excited, laughing, blasting music, and just snapping endless photos of the stunning view. That first night, we decided to make the most of it and just relax on the private beach. The stars were absolutely breathtaking. The ocean was calm, and the whole night felt utterly perfect. It was one of those moments you wish could last forever. Then, in the distance, we saw this flickering light, like a flashlight swaying back and forth. At first, we just kind of ignored it. thinking it was probably nothing. But as it got closer, we realized it was a group of 3 people walking along the shore. They seemed pretty friendly, around our age, and one of them even waved at us. So, naturally, we waved back. Before we knew it, they were right there, chatting casually. They told us they were renting a nearby house for the summer, just enjoying the vacation vibes. And honestly, they seemed totally normal, genuinely kind even. After a little while, any initial tension we might have felt just completely faded away. We talked, we laughed, we shared stories right there by the water, under the moonlight. Looking back, if I had just left right then, at that perfect moment, the night might have stayed exactly like that perfect. But life rarely works that way, does it? It was starting to get pretty late, probably close to midnight, when one of them casually suggested, "Hey, why don't you girls come by our place? We've got snacks and music. It'll be fun." Thea and Sabrina, without a second thought, immediately said yes. Lindsay hesitated for a moment, but then she eventually agreed too. But for some reason, I just didn't feel right about it. Something deep down, a quiet voice in my head was telling me not to go. It wasn't anything specific, just a feeling. So I told them I was going to head back and get some rest. Of course, they teased me a little, calling me the careful one. But then they turned and walked away down the beach, heading towards this unknown house. That was the last time I saw them before everything went sideways. That's a moment that's forever burned into my memory. I must have fallen asleep pretty quickly, but sometime after 3 a.m., I jolted awake to my phone, buzzing aggressively. It was a video call from Lindsay. When I finally answered, her face was ghost white, completely drained of color, and her voice was shaking so badly I could barely understand her. "Get in my car right now," she practically screamed, her voice cracking with terror. "Something bad happened. Thea and Sabrina are in danger?" My heart absolutely hammered in my chest. I froze, completely paralyzed by her sheer panic. She managed to tell me to grab her car keys and drive towards the beach road, about 10 houses down from where we were. I didn't even think. I just flew out the door barefoot, snatched her keys, and started the car. The roads were eerily empty, the night completely still, except for the rhythmic crash of the waves against the shore. It was unsettling. Then, I saw it just like Lindsay had described, a black SUV moving slowly along the coastal road. It looked so out of place, so sinister in the quiet night. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely grip the steering wheel, but I knew I had to do something. So I immediately called the police, whispering the location, trying to keep my voice steady. I told them everything Lindsay had just told me, trying to give them as much information as possible without alerting anyone. And then, I followed that vehicle, keeping a safe distance, my eyes glued to its taillights. Every single second felt like an eternity, stretching out into a terrifying unknown. My mind raced, imagining all sorts of awful scenarios, but I forced myself to stay focused, to keep that SUV in sight. Finally, in the distance, I saw them. Flashing red and blue lights appeared, piercing the darkness. Police cars blocked the road, surrounding the black SUV. I pulled over, shaking so violently I thought I might be sick. What happened next unfolded like something out of a movie. The police acted quickly and professionally, efficiently resolving the situation. Everyone was brought to safety. Miraculously, no one was seriously hurt, just a few scrapes and bruises. But that fear stayed with us. It lingered like a cold shadow. Later, when things had calmed down a bit, we finally found out the truth. The group of strangers we'd met on the beach wasn't at all what they seemed. They weren't renting a beach house like they claimed. They'd actually broken into one while the real owners were away, pretending to be guests in the neighborhood. It was a terrifying realization. Lindsay told me she had realized something was seriously wrong not long after I left. When things started feeling really uncomfortable, she made an excuse to leave, telling them she felt sick and needed to go home. That decision, that quick thinking, honestly saved not only her, but all of us. As soon as she noticed how strange and unsettling things had become, she didn't hesitate. She called the police immediately, and then she called me. That's how everything was stopped in time. In the days that followed, we were all understandably shaken, but incredibly grateful. As I mentioned, no one was physically harmed beyond those minor scrapes and bruises, and the authorities handled everything so carefully and compassionately. Thea and Sabrina both needed a lot of time to recover emotionally from the ordeal, and Lindsay, she unfairly blamed herself for not leaving sooner. But the truth is, she acted with immense bravery, and her quick thinking in a terrifying situation absolutely prevented things from becoming much, much worse. For me, that night completely changed how I see the world. It was a stark, unforgettable lesson that instincts are there for a reason. When something feels off, even just a tiny bit, it is absolutely okay to listen to that quiet voice inside you and walk away. You don't owe anyone an explanation for prioritizing your own safety and peace of mind. It's been years now, but sometimes I still think about that night, the calm ocean, the laughter, and then how terrifyingly fast things shifted from perfectly normal to utterly horrifying. I am so incredibly grateful that I trusted my gut that night, because one decision, just one small decision, can truly be the difference between safety and a lifetime of regret.
So please, if you ever find yourself in a situation that doesn't feel right, even if you can't quite put your finger on why, listen to your instincts. They are there to protect you. Because sometimes what looks like an ordinary night by the beach can become the kind of story you never ever want to live through again. Thank you so much for listening to my story today.
If this resonated with you, or if you've ever had a similar experience, please share it respectfully in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more content. It really helps the channel. Stay safe out there, everyone, and always, always trust your gut.